Hi, good morning, Jim from Avstar. I think we need to clear something up from, the get-go. So, first of all, you might see that I've got 58,000 subscribers, but what does that actually mean to me, and what does it mean to you? I'm going to tell you something now. It means nothing at all to me whatsoever. I don't earn advert revenue off YouTube. Simple as that. So I'm not earning because I've got 58,000, and I'm certainly not selling stuff, and you should know that by now because I've been here over 11 years. In fact, it was our anniversary yesterday, and vidIQ, said congratulations on 11 years of communicating to people all over the world. It doesn't bother me. It's of no value. So when people put in the comments section that they're unsubscribing, what exactly are they trying to tell me by saying that? Because it doesn't bother me. You're not worth a pound to me. Not one subscriber's worth a single round coin. So by telling me that you're unsubscribing means nothing to me whatsoever. You know what? Carry on, do it. I don't care. If all 58,000 of them unsubscribe tomorrow, it would not bother me in the slightest. It just means that there's no point anymore doing these videos. We're not informing anybody of anything of any use. That's it. So, whereas, there are a lot of other channels that I could mention where the subscribers are important to them because they rely on those subscribers to sell things to. For instance, merchandise or, buy me a coffee link, things like that. But since I don't get nothing off the subscribers that I've got, what value would it be to me? And what would I lose if somebody said, I'm going to unsubscribe like a little baby, I don't know what you've said about my king, Donald Trump. Doesn't bother me at all. So you carry on and unsubscribe. But I have got some to say in this video other than that. Hopefully we've made that clear, that the subscribers are worth nothing. Yeah, I've got my little community on Patreon. Those people appreciate the work I put in. They appreciate the fact that we've got a qualification in the subject that we talk about, and that we've also got equipment that nobody else has on the entire internet or in the entire world that is prepared to share it with the free, with the general public. So, like I say, the subscribers on YouTube mean nothing to me whatsoever in value terms. So that's cleared up. Now, what's going on in America, in my view, is very hypocritical. With ICE agents going around arresting illegal immigrants, so they're called. And I'm going to tell you why. Because let's just face something which is true. America doesn't have a history, or modern America doesn't have a history of more than 300 years. Yeah? Where you compare that to England that has thousands of years of history, you compare that to China that has over 5,000 years of history, we have proven that we can be around for more than 300 years. And I think America is going to fail. I think it's a terrible experiment because what they're doing now is going against everything that the roots of that nation was built on. Now, they want to go pointing fingers about people being foreigners coming from a different country to their country. And they're going to be upset with that. Because all I'm going to say is, take a look at your ancestral roots and where you originated from. Go back 300 years and you'll find that what you are is an immigrant. The people that own America originally are the native Indians, the Cherokees, the Comanches, the Tomahawks, etc. And you know that for a fact because you have to pay them compensation. Just the same as Australia. Our claim, the English claim or the British claim to that territory is false. And we have to pay the Aborigines compensation in the same way as Americans do because they are the original people of that territory. Now, there's something else I want to say. Right, so yeah, getting back to America, yeah, you're pointing the finger at people, you're allowing them to be arrested. Could you imagine what would have happened 300 years ago if that would have been done to you? What have these people come to your country for? To work hard, to take part in what is available there, i.e. the American dream. You can buy your own home, you can own your own car, you can raise your family in a relatively safe environment. Is that a criminal offence? Most of these people that are being rounded up, unjustly in my view, are just doing the same as what you guys was doing 300 years ago. It ain't your country to start with, and it never will be. And the proof and the matter of the fact of that is you have to compensate the Native Americans who are the true owners of that country. And your little experiment is coming to an end, as far as I can see, with this modern behaviour of, extraditing people, removing them. I don't think you've got any compassion, you people that believe what's happening right now with ICE is the right thing. I don't think you've got any compassion because, these people have been in your country for many years, working, contributing, doing all the jobs that some people would never want to do, but they're happy to do it, and they're happy to work hard, to, afford a house, afford a car, raise a family. And then all of a sudden one day someone kicks your front door off and makes an arrest and throws you on a plane and you end up in a prison in another country. I'll just say, you're disgusting if you support that sort of action. There are legitimate other ways of going about this. And they're clearly not legally going about it the way they're going about it right now. So, I think you're a failed state, or a conglomerate of failed states, because you forgot clearly your history. I think you do it on purpose. That's why you're justifying something you shouldn't even be justifying in the first place. How dare you claim the right to something that didn't even belong to you in the first place? How dare you tell people that they're not welcome to stay in a country that doesn't even belong to you, because for the last 300 years you've been in charge of it? That's just so hypocritical and slaps of hypocrisy. It's just more than a joke. But I've got something else to add to this, and it involves Canada. And I just want you to know this one single fact, because I'll be talking about something later on with my special community over on Patreon, which you won't get to hear about. But I'm going to tell you something about you in Canada and America and Australia that you all have in common. That you've recently taken ownership of territory that was beforehand hardly habited. And that's for a fucking good reason. And if you've got any grey matter, just think about what I've just said. Why was Canada 200-300 years ago uninhabited, other than the Inuits, mainly in the northern hemispheres? Why? Because only recently has that opened up to be a livable environment. And only if you had the skills in America, you would be able to survive in that environment. And the same for Australia, because if you look at the Aboriginal way of life and the way they survive is not the way the majority of the inhabitants of Australia would be able to survive today, clearly put. Because those skills, those eating of widgeridoo grubs and things like that, was a skill that you newbies don't have. And there's one other thing here to remember, is that there is such thing as a Milankovitch cycle. And that is a 100,000 year cycle, and you've just come to the end of an interglacial, which is known as a warm period, and you're going back into a glacial. So if you're in the territory of Canada, then you should be worried. You should be really concerned, because that is going to become ice at some point. It's going to rebound. The glaciers are going to expand, and it's going to become uninhabitable. I know for the last 15,000 years, or 20,000 years, it's looked a little bit greener than it did in its previous history. But do some core samples. We know you're never going to do that, because most people that are listening to me right now are armchair warriors, and they're all out for themselves. And that's why I will stand there, and I promise you this, I will stand there when I hear of the mass disasters that are going to take place in the near and long-term future. I will be gloating at yous, because you haven't got a clue about community, spirit, You don't know nothing about it. There's only a few people I've ever met that knew and understood that. And most of the people that listen to this are not that. You are destined to fail 100% because of the mentality in which you accept. So, just remember that. You got a 300-year history and you go bullying countries like China. China are laughing their asses at you right now. You know, like I said in the previous video, they have not shot one bullet or one bomb. They've just watched you give out all your weapons to European countries, leaving you short-stocked. That's why they're laughing at you right now. They've got a bigger navy than the United States already. That's commonly accepted. A bigger army, man for man. You know, I don't think quite literally Americans see what is watching them right now at this very moment, and they're just going to let you carry on and consume what you can and give away what you can, because every time you do that you weaken yourselves. And that's why you are not going to evolve into the future. I really don't believe that you will, because anything that evolves fast doesn't stay around for the test of time. I'll give you an example. A crocodile is a prehistoric creature. It's been around for millions of years, and it is very much the same animal as it was millions of years ago. You see, that is a successful species that is going to be around for millions of years to come. You are new kids on the block in America with your new found land, or which if the truth is known, the new stolen land of the Native Americans. I don't care how much I rub salt into that wound. I know how much Americans will hate me saying it, but it's the goddamn truth, right? You arrived on that continent 300 years ago, and where did you come from? You come from everywhere around the world. And if you look at the people that claim that they are, you know, American citizens because they've got a passport, what's their background? How many of them are immigrants or migrants from other countries? And you expect people to, you know, accept this ICE behaviour, which reminds me of those tanned uniform Nazis back in 1930s, late 1930s, and their behaviour is exactly the same. Rounding people up, show me your paperwork. You ain't got no paperwork, you're on that plane and out the country. You know what? Do something right. Admit when I'm right. Just admit it. Don't you dare come into this comment section later on and say, you're wrong for this reason, you're wrong for that reason. The points I've made are accurate. You don't have a history longer than 300 years. The Native Americans own that continent, and you know it because you have to pay them compensation. Same as Australia. Does not belong to England, and it does not belong to most of the people that are in Australia right now. You can hate me for saying the truth, and that's what people don't like, hearing the truth. And you can hate me for talking about Donald Trump, because I'll tell you now, he's a bad person. He doesn't follow international law, and he creates a law unto his own. And here's the thing, he's going to run for a second term, you know that. And I know exactly what he's going to try and pull there. He's going to say, wait a minute, the 45th president had an opportunity to run for 2 terms. He didn't, he only ran for 1. The 47th president has an opportunity to run for 2 terms. And I say, I will run for 2 terms. You won't get rid of him. He's made himself a king in that country, and he's backed by his knights who are all billionaires. And money talks and bullshit walks. So, you know, you can argue with anything I say. I don't give a crap. And, you know, you can unsubscribe to the channel. You know, when you do that, what do you think happens? Do you think a coin falls out my pocket when you unsubscribe? Of course not. I don't even get a coin when you subscribe. So, you know, it makes no difference to me. All of you can fuck off, for that matter. What, you think I'm going to lose money because of it? Of course not. I'm going to save my time, which is I value. You know, I'd rather give my time for people that have got like minds and like those on Patreon now. It's my special, supportive community who think along the lines of me, Now I'm going to share valid information which you would benefit from, but unfortunately you're not one of our members of the special supportive community over on Patreon, so you don't qualify for that. That's your loss. You don't even qualify anymore for positioning of the magnetic North Pole because you're not a supporter of our special community. So that's your loss. As regards to any other climate issue, I'm not going to share it with you because you ain't no supportive community of mine, and you've clearly showed me in 11 years what I'm a bit bitter. Of course I am. I didn't ever want to make money out of it because I would have had shops online right now. I'd have been selling stuff to you, offering you stuff. I've never even so much as had a baseball cap or a mug. So that shoots your fucking little idea down in flames right now, doesn't it? That I'm here for money. Oh yeah, I've put up with abuse off other channels with more subscribers than me. I've heard what they've said about me. And that's why I've turned around and I've said this to them. You're going to fall flat on your face at some point because you're going to get too big for your boots. And when you do, I'll be standing there laughing at you. Just like I did the recent one. So, you enjoy the rest of your day. And just remember, if you're an American, your history is 300 years old, and the country that you claim is yours isn't. Same for Australia, same for Canada. You are just new tenants.